Hi and welcome back to PDA Dad UK. In this episode, we get to talk to the incredible Michael Rosen, Children's Laureate up until 2009, children's author, poet, and just all-round amazing human being. PDA Dad is now proudly partnered with the Disability Expo. As I say, thank you for joining me. Welcome back to PDA Dad UK. Please do, before we go on, hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a nice comment in there. It makes a big difference to how this all gets out there and really does help. So please go do that now. As I said before, we get to interview in this episode the incredible Michael Rosen. Michael was part of the TES SEND Show. He was in charge of the poetry competition there. He's just an amazing guy. He's got a passion for special educational needs and disability, and that comes out in a lot of his books. He's written a host of amazing children's books. He's really a wordsmith in poetry, and I promise you in this, you'll get to hear him rap. I kid you not. The guy's astonishing. Now, this was one where I was already giving a presentation at the TES SEND Show, so my good friend and fellow grumpy git, Adam Pearson, took the reins on the interview. So I'm going to hand over to Adam now, and he is going to talk to Michael.
What is going on, Internet? Adam Pearson here at the TES Exhibition 2023, and I am fortunate to be joined by prolific children's author. You may know him from such books as We're Going on a Bear Hunt, Chocolate Cakes, and Goldilocks and the Three Crocodiles. Michael Rosen, absolute pleasure.
Lovely to meet you.
The theme of this year's expo is Inspiring Minds, the Difference You Make to Me. What inspires you, Michael Rosen?
I think what inspires me most is digging into my mind and thinking about things that happen to me. So I sometimes think that my job, quite a lot of the time, is like archaeology. So I got my brain there and there's all my life experiences, and so I like digging around and finding things. It's not the only thing I do. I like playing with words. That inspires me, just finding funny things with words and playing with them, with the sound of them. And then also, I guess I'm quite interested in a kind of poetry that is based on mostly just seeing things. I don't know why, but it comes from an ancient Chinese tradition that when you see things, like say a leaf falling from a tree, it's just a leaf falling from a tree, but then if you look at it and the way the leaf has gone away and been blown away, you can suddenly connect it with other things. So there we are, there's three things that inspire me, if you don't.
You know, I grew up with things like Dr. Seuss. So I'm a big fan of like wordplay and, as you say, allegory and sort of like the potential meaning behind things, like worlds within worlds.
Yeah.
When did you decide you wanted to become an author? Or did you decide you wanted to become an author? Or is it something that just sort of organically happened to you?
Yes, I think it's the last bit. I mean, I got interested in the very idea of writing when I was about 15. So, you know, you're going along, you're doing the things people are asking you to do in school and in lessons. And some of those were great. I loved them. You know, we had a teacher who asked us to write dramatic monologues in the style of Robert Browning or even Shakespeare, and I thought that was wonderful, but that was in school. But when I really got the bug, I was reading a book. It's a kind of autobiography by James Joyce called Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, and I got very excited by the idea that you could write about what it was like being a child, sort of in the voice of a child. It isn't really in the voice of a child, but it's a sort of little bit like that. And I got quite excited by that. So I was about 15, 16. So I can more or less say, at that moment, I thought, oh, I'd like to do that. Then I read some poems by D.H. Lawrence. People know quite a few of those. Snake and Elephant and Man and Bat and that little group of poems. And I thought, oh, I like those. So I got the bug around about then.
And what was the first thing that you wrote that you looked at and thought, I'm going to publish this one?
Well, it was a poem after I'd read some of the D.H. Lawrence poems. So I was about 16 and I wrote a poem about a moth coming into my bedroom and me swatting the moth. And I thought, yeah, so that was published in the school magazine. And that was very, very important for me, the idea that you could write a poem and then it would get published, and people who flicked through the magazine for sports results and things like that would maybe read my poem about me swatting them off.
What would you say to people who think poetry is a bit maybe dry, archaic, boring, in a world where so much stuff's competing for our attention now? What makes poetry stand up as an art form, if you will?
Well, I think many people, young people for example, are actually taking in poetry, even if they're not calling it that. They might be calling it rap and grime, let's say. You know, there are wonderful people like Laureate and plenty of others, Stormzy and so on. And these people are writing poetry. It just so happens to have a kind of music, you know, there's music with it, I was going to say, and they have a kind of chanty way of doing it. I'm not really giving it proper credit, but it's poetry. And I'm going to claim that for the world of poetry. So I'll just say, well, there's nothing dry about that. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people go and see, you know, entertainers, performers like Laureate and so on. And basically what they're writing is exactly the same principles of poetry. There's rhythm, there's some rhyme, they're reflecting on their lives, they're thinking about what their parents were like, they're thinking about the problems around them, racism, sexism, that sort of thing. And all this is in their songs. They might call them songs or sounds or beats, but I want to call them poems. So there's nothing dry about this. This is absolutely of the moment. Millions of young people loving it, and even old fogies like me when our teenage or older kids say, "Hey Dad, listen to this."
I'm really glad you said that. I used to do a lot of school assemblies on mainly anti-bullying, and there's this really great poem by Shenko Chan with a really powerful music video I play. And I just ask the kids, what is this? Is this poetry? Is this rap? Is this just a man ramping into the wind? But also, as you said, where are the lines of demarcation between the three? And I tend to find that they're more blurred than people think they are.
Exactly. We don't have to just say, look, here's poem, here's rap, here's grime, here's a song. We don't have to bother about that. These are just names that people are giving stuff after the fact. You know, if you take a great epic like the Odyssey or Beowulf, you know, these were chanted, dramatic poems. You know, they're you know, shamans stood up amongst people, you know, and perform these things. Well, whether they're poems, whether they're plays, whether they're storytelling, let's not get hung up about it.
And there'll be loads of young people here today who are coming to your book signing who've grown up with your work. To many, you're an idol, you're a folk, or you're in the geek world we say you're a bardic inspiration in the D&D world. What advice would you give to young people looking to break into whether it's the poetry scene, the rap scene, the rhyme scene, anyone that wants to be a wordsmith and just play with the art form?
Find your way to poems, performances, spoken word, rap, grime, whatever, that takes your fancy. Find your way to it, and then say, I could have a go at doing that. All right? Maybe you'll only write 2 words, or 2 lines, or 3 lines, or maybe you just beat out something on your tabletop somewhere and just say a little bit. And that will just take you into that way of thinking that you can craft words and language and make it work. You know, I didn't know anything about rap right way back in the beginning when it was hip hop. And some boys from next door came to me and said, "Will you write us some hip hop rap?" And I had no idea what it was or anything. And I said, "Well, look, you play it to me and I'll see if I can have a go." And they played me some stuff. I think it was way back then, Run DMC or something like that. And I thought, and I sort of heard it, and then I thought, I'll see if I can make up some words that fit it. And I've always done that, and it can be very different. At that time, I came up with, "You may think I'm happy, you may think I'm sad, you may think I'm crazy, you may think I'm mad. Hang on to your seats, listen right here, gonna tell you something that'll burn your ear. You may think I'm happy, you may think I'm sad, you may think I'm crazy, you may think I'm mad. Hang on to your seats, listen right here, gonna tell you something that'll burn your ear." Well, that's all very hip hop and old school. Well, that's how I did it. But other times, like I said to D.H. Lawrence, you know, he just says, "I went down to the water trough." That's it. "I went down to the water trough." You know, he just opens it with a little, very simple way of talking. He kind of talks onto the page. That's another way of writing. Or haiku, there's another way, or limericks. If you find a form and then you think, "I'll have a go at that," and then see what happens.
And what is next, Sir Michael Rosen? Are you gunning for the knighthood?
No, I don't really agree with those things. What am I doing next? Well, I've got books to write. I've got books coming out. I've got 3 books coming out the next few weeks. Got a book called The Big Dreaming, which is like a sort of poetic, a picture book about a little bear that worries that he's going to run out of dreams when he hibernates. So that's called The Big Dreaming. Then I've got a sort of jokey take on Little Red Riding Hood called Not So Little Red Riding Hood. And then I've got a sort of odyssey book that is told by a dog called Gaston le Dog. So it's one that takes place in France. The Incredible Adventures of Gaston le Dog. And he wants to get to the seaside, and he has quite a lot of obstacles in his way, and lots of friends who help him.
I would love to just live inside your head for an hour and just hang out and see what goes on. Fascinated by how the creative mind works. You can go back and read Roald Dahl stuff, like The Enormous Crocodile, and I'm like, part of me's like, bro, what happened to you? But it's also a little bit, and it's like, this is genius.
Yes. Well, I believe that everybody is creative. Everybody can be creative in different ways. You can be creative when you cook, or garden, or doodle on a page. I happen to be mostly creative, or trying to be creative with words, but you can be creative in any area, and you want to nourish it, nurture it, feed your creativity, find times to do it. If you like words, then play with them on a page, listen out for things, read things, imitate things, and it'll just flood.
Finally, Dr. Rosen, we always give people a chance to plug themselves, plug their wares, and what have you. So if people want to find you or know more about you, where can they do so?
Best place to go is my website, which is www.michaelrosen, all one word, .co.uk.
Well, Michael Rosen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Go and enjoy the rest of the show, my friend.
Thank you.
So there we are. That's Michael Rosen, and what an incredible guy. It's really his passion, and the way that he works is just such an incredible way. And like Adam said in that interview, really to spend just an hour in his mind picking some of those pieces apart and getting to know the inner workings of a brain like that would be just an absolute privilege, wouldn't it? Please do go hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell. You'll always know when I've got new content coming up. I will see you again on the next episode. In the meantime, please do stay safe.